Hi, my name is Thomas. Welcome to Cheeky Kokako for another miniatures video. In this episode, I'm looking at the mini which I use for one of the beasts, the pony. The stats for the pony can be found in the module manual on page 335. The miniature that I chose for my pony mini is from Gripping Beast's Saga line, Shaggy Pony Barebacked, number SSC19. This unpainted metal miniature has a base size of medium, which is the size that ponies are meant to be, which makes me happy. Ponies are very rarely going to be villains in your games unless you play very different games from mine, but for the next few episodes I'm going to focus on a handful of miniatures which you'll likely need for day-to-day game running. These are all going to be some of the animals which you'll regularly use to carry your PCs back and forth as they go about their normal life. These are minis which you'll definitely need on a regular basis no matter what your Dungeons & Dragons campaign includes monster-wise. I actually had a hard time finding a pony miniature, which is why I posted this mini first. I painted this miniature to look like a Przewalski's horse. The mane isn't right on this mini for a Przewalski's horse, but otherwise as soon as I saw the mini it reminded me of the Przewalski's horses which I used to work with, so I painted it up to look like one because they're magnificent and strikingly beautiful horses. For a little background on Przewalski's horses for those not in the know, they were initially thought to be the wild ancestor of domestic horses, then they were thought to be a sister species to the wild ancestor of domestic horses, but now it's really confusing and they may be wild horse species or they might be an early feral strain of a very early domesticated horse. Whatever they end up being, though, they have been living wild for a very, very long time, if not forever. Also, Przewalski's horse is the proper pronunciation. I know there are a few random people claiming they have the official pronunciation on the internet, including a guy from Belarus who can't pronounce Ruble properly and who piled heaps of assumptions on top of each other to make up a fairy tale about why his pronunciation is the only correct one, even though he has no facts to back it up. My pronunciation is by far the most commonly accepted one, and it also comes from the people working with the horses, which goes back to when the original animals came out of the wild, around 1900, about 22 years after Przewalski discovered them. The pronunciation has been passed on from handler to handler through oral history ever since, for the past 125 years, from well before the internet existed. It's how I learned how to pronounce their name 90 years after the first animals were collected from the wild, the same as handlers before and after me. 90 years isn't that long, so there will not have been many people between me and the first people working with Przewalski's horses, so I feel pretty confident that it didn't change much, if any, by the time it got to me. As a side note, getting a charismatic and rare megavertebrate named after you is a great way to ensure that the pronunciation of your name lives on for eternity. As usual, for scale, Inchimic 25mm in the stork is 1 inch tall from the bottom of its base, while the summer eladrin mini will give an idea of the scale of the pony next to an average human-sized mini. If you're looking for links to the minis in this video, you'll find them in the description. And that pretty much covers this miniature. If you have miniatures that you either like or dislike for ponies in your game, let us know what they are in the comments. I'll catch you next time when I show you another miniature from my collection. Until then, this is Thomas for Cheeky Kokako.